So this is the Passoff for my lab number 1. So starting up the board, we can see, first checking to make sure that the jumpers are correct. We see first off that the display is cycling through numbers about every second, incrementing 1, and then gets to 0, restarts. Now, in terms of what the buttons do, so the center one just resets the count all the way to 0. This top one, so each of these other side buttons correspond to, if you hold it down, it turns off one of the LCD displays. So, as you can see there. And then the switches will simply turn on their corresponding LEDs. Now, after I program it, you can see that with all the switches down, the LCD display turns off the first 3 displays and only has a 0 in the first display. Now, this is connected to these switches, which when turned on will correlate to the binary code for that number. So these 4 switches in the 0 position or off position display is 0 for 0, 0, 0. Now turning that on, the first one, it goes to 1, 2, then 3, all the way up to 7. Up here we get to 8, 9, and then it starts going into the hex representation of 10 through 16. So we have 10 right there, and then with all of them up, we get F. So aside from that, these buttons also do something. So the center one just turns on all of the LEDs on the whole board, all the display, by holding that down. Now the top one turns off all the LEDs, and it actually resets what happens when I press this button. So this button, holding it down, it turns on a incrementing counter. It counts to the, I guess, milliseconds. It goes up and up, and it stops when you take your finger off. Putting it down again, it continues the count. Now down here, pushing this bottom button, it also keeps counting, as you can see when I press this button again. So it's at 33, pushing this down, now it's at 38. So that continues the count, but with all LEDs off. Now pushing that, simply LEDs. This side button has, I guess, a ripple effect of the LEDs on the bottom. Now pushing the top button clears the count, and it starts again at 0. Now in terms of the switches 4 through 6, those correlate to a 5 LED code with LEDs 0 through 4 on the bottom. And switching these on and off, there's logic associated with each of the LEDs for each switch combination, and with them all off, it's just those 2. Putting up the middle one, those 3 turn on. So, and then we had to look at the truth table for that in the lab. So I think that's about it. That's about everything that we can see here. So yeah, the count doesn't get reset until you push that button, and then it clears it and resets. And that's it.